When I hear a lot of feedback from my clients about their stress and the work-life balance, and that's why they wanted to do a spa day, that's just not enough. Stress is a part of our everyday life. And I thought if I could just offer some form of wellness that everybody can weave into their everyday lifestyle and not just take a day off of work and go to the spa, get a massage, get a facial, or go to yoga class when they have time. Let's give them some tools, give them something that is easy for them to incorporate within that second of being stressed.
It's a Monday, time for another episode of All Things Menopausal, and today I'm joined by Fon Churat, a lifelong meditator who herself is a certified meditation coach and a mindfulness and yoga teacher, as well as a wellness consultant for corporations. And she's an international best-selling author. Her niche is studying, developing, and guiding groups and individuals to effectively manage stress and anxiety with mindfulness and meditation to cultivate inner peace, improve personal health, and enhance overall work performance. Fon opens up our conversation with her adventurous journey from observing her grandmother's morning meditation rituals to being introduced to Buddhist practices in school, in her home, and then falling into a phase of depression, only to rediscover the peace of mindfulness through yoga. Her quest led her to India, where she immersed herself in yoga teacher training and mastering the art of energy work. We could not agree more in our conversation of the importance of wellness and mental peace in the workplace. It's essential, particularly with the vast majority of perimenopausal women still at the prime of her career. Workplace wellness can be a powerful tool for women undergoing menopause, helping them navigate the challenges brought on by hormonal changes. From small to medium-sized organizations, Fon is guiding employers on how to foster a safe space for employees to practice mindfulness and stress reduction, and in turn boost productivity and overall morale and teamwork. Fon co-authored the book The Phoenix with several other women. It is a book about the stories of women who, like the phoenix, have found their way out of the flames and ashes to emerge more powerful and more beautiful than ever. You can find The Phoenix on Amazon. And we also talked about another book, which you can also find on Amazon, The Art of Acting by Stella Adler, one of America's greatest acting teachers. Yes, the book is quite the diversion from meditation and mindfulness, but is of particular interest for Fon to prepare her voice for her next endeavor, which is podcast hosting. To learn more about Fon, you can follow her on Instagram at Fon Churat. That's FONCHURAT. So sit back and enjoy our conversation. Isn't that so neat that we can meet in the virtual space? About a week and a half ago, we were total strangers, and now here we are talking as two friends.
Yeah.
Delightful. The world is so big and yet it's so small.
It's super amazing how we can just connect like that.
Just throw it out there. Hey, I want to talk to you on my podcast. Hey, I'm ready to go. Let's do it. So wonderful.
It's awesome.
So
I love
you.
it. And I love how you
love
roll.
it.
You're just like, I want to talk to you more.
There's so many amazing stories from people who have interesting skill sets or an experience or an aha moment, a life-altering event that has shaped them who we are, who they become today. And I think as women, we have to lean into those stories because we put so much weight on ourselves thinking that we have to have it perfect or have to have all the answers. There's this burden of I'm the matriarch, so I can stand strong. But oftentimes when we just sit and listen and share that quiet space and with one another in a conversation, we get more out of it. Those little 5-10 minutes of something that somebody has said and say, that's it. I didn't know I needed to do that, or I didn't know that it was so easy. And so that's really what this podcast is all about, to reach out to the world, women going through a very personal experience, but yet a journey that's also universal to all of us. And I'm really excited that you are in that area of meditation mindfulness, which is one of the important of the 4 pillars, the stress reduction. This is such an important area that we need to focus on. So before we get into that, Fon, how did you get to where you are today? What is your backstory?
Well, it's a really long story. Besides growing up in a family that a grandmother would wake up at 4 a.m. to meditate, and she'll start with walking meditations. When I was a kid, I was sleeping, I would be sleeping right next to her, and she'll wake up, she'll turn the lights on. So of course the whole house all lit up. So you do forced to be somewhat awake, right? And so you see what she's doing, but you just continue sleeping as a kid. So that's how it all like introduced into my life, and grow up as a Buddhist. Again, we go to the temple, and a few of the elementary schools and middle school that I used to go to, I've switched so many schools. My parents moved for their jobs so many times, and being mindful and knowing the skills kind of really helped me adjust to that society. But back to how I got started, it was my grandmother, and in the family that we had to go to the temple, and the school that I keep moving to, different schools, some of them actually weave this mindfulness practice and meditation into the program. So once a week, every Friday, they'll invite the Buddhist monks to come to the school, do the Dharma talk, which is teaching about mindfulness. And then we would end Friday at school with meditation session. So the whole school will sit together, the teachers and the students, everything, the whole school, except the janitors. So yeah.
Fantastic.
That's how I got started. And I'm like, oh, this is kind of good. Instead of rushing out of school to go home, you just everybody sit together, everybody get to feel more grounded and leave each other alone instead of like being kids and messing around with each other, right? Sometimes you just want to, or focus on just sport. Let's go to our tutoring classes or whatever after school.
Mm-hmm.
It's not that competition that we were taught at that moment. It was, let's bring the energy down, let's get grounded before we go home so we can be with our family and be present with the family and be more helpful and see what our family members' needs would be like, and maybe we can be there for them. And that's what I thought I took away from that. We never talked about this because it's been something that's so common that we just overlook when we are in that circumstances. I hope that makes sense.
Yeah. And it was a lifestyle upbringing. It was just who you were, your family was. And then that
Yeah.
just evolved further and further into more exploration and studying into the practice of meditation.
So then, after graduating from college in
Mm-hmm.
Thailand, and I moved to the States,
Okay.
and then I had a little pause there because in my personal practice of meditation, because I'm here in a new space, not exactly have any friends, new friends. And then I was going to school learning ESL, English as a second language.
Okay.
And then I was introduced to church, and I was going to church, and it was totally different. But then it's the church has also offered its own mindfulness practice in a different form, like in prayer form. That's another form of meditation that a lot of
Right.
people are overlooking,
Mm-hmm.
because everybody think meditation is just sitting and close your eyes and just be quiet, or be guided, right?
Uh-huh.
Versus when you do Christian praying, is another form of meditation because you are focusing your attention and you're concentrating on your prayer, whether
Right.
it's for yourself or it's for other people. It is still another form of meditation. And I had another aha moment going to church with this, like, oh, this is really grounding, calming, and really feeling it's offering that peaceful moment. It just come in a different form from what I was used to.
Oh, lovely.
That's just like the process of like my evolving moment later on from being so away from what I was used to. And even though I was going to church, I was kind of going through this career change and adjustment. And then I was experiencing some depression and anxiety, and I was having some challenge at work, causing me to take antidepressant to help
Wow.
me. And I was on antidepressant for a moment and
Mhm.
until I decided this is not a good feeling for me. And my doctor and I, we had to do some modification. We switched a couple of medication to make it works for me at that time. And I was like, I don't
Okay.
like this feeling. I don't want to go through this. I don't want to be on med. I want to do something different. So
Right.
that's when I told my doctor, I don't want to do this. That's it. I don't want to go to therapy. I don't want to be on med. And then I started meditating again. And I met a friend who was doing yoga regularly, and she said, hey, have you tried yoga? And I'm like, I never done yoga before. I heard about it. And my gym has yoga class. So I went to yoga class at the gym. It was a total workout. It was nothing spiritual there. I mean, workouts is good. And I was always working out anyway, just not in yoga class at the gym. I was doing something else. So then I told her, no, it's not relaxing. I don't know what this is at the gym. And she said, no, you're gonna go to yoga studio, come with me. And then I'm like, oh, this is different. Not to like discredit yoga class at the gym, it has its own purpose, and people who
Hmm.
goes there, they're looking for something slightly different, right? Which is including myself. I was looking for something a little bit different from what they had to offer there. So
Hmm.
then later on, I was like, this is it. I kind of like it. I think I'm gonna do a yoga teacher training program.
Just
And
like
then an
that
opportunity,
after.
yeah,
Oh, I
yeah,
love it. Good.
an opportunity came up, and I went to India.
Oh.
I Everything was falling into places so perfectly. So I was just online looking for yoga teacher training in India,
Mhm.
and then I contacted the school, and they said, oh, we only have wait lists right now. We don't have any more space. And I said, okay, that's fine. Put me on the wait list. If it's meant to be, it will be. And then a week later, they said, we just had someone cancel. Would you like to join? And I said,
Lovely.
oh my gosh, how can I get the visa that quick? Because at that time, it was only 30 days out. And
Okay.
I look into the visa, and it said the fastest you can get is within 2 weeks. So I ran to the embassy in San Francisco, applied for the visa, pay for the express process. I think that was available if I remember correctly. And maybe 5 days later, I got the visa, mail it back to me, and I was like, this is not possible. so
Wow.
so
Talk
I
about the
got,
universe aligning
yeah,
up for
right.
you. This is great.
So I got the visa, and then I go, okay, let's figure it out, the plane tickets, because last minute plane
Mm.
ticket, we all know if it's less than 30 days, it could be really expensive.
Hmm.
So guess what? I got the ticket for unbelievably cheap. So it was maybe $800 round trip. It's
No,
it's coach.
incredible.
It was coach, but it
Oh.
got me to India. So everything was working out so perfectly. So I went to India, got certified as a yoga instructor.
Mhm.
And during that trip, it was even more amazing when I got there. I met someone who introduced me to energy work, and we had a day off from our yoga teacher training. And I'm like, I want to do this energy work. And then I went and tried, and guess what? I'm like, what is this? This is amazing. And then after the
Ah,
yoga teacher training course is done, I'm like, I want to learn that. And then I went on and learned some energy work. So that was like, whoa, this is like on top of each other. And it was ever since that, it's been, whew, it's been a journey. Yeah, that's how
how
I got
many?
started. It's a long story.
I love it. How many years ago did this all take place?
Oh, almost 10 years ago now.
And so now you're fully fledged teacher in yoga and energy work.
So I came back and I've been teaching yoga since, and I offer energy work as a part of because I used to have a spa practice that I would offer massage and
Right.
facial. And I would tell my clients, by the way, I just learned this amazing new modality. Would you like to try? And my clients would be like, what are you talking about? Right. And I'm like, here, let me just give a little sample while you're getting my facial. And then my client would be like, wow, what was that? I felt something was moving in my body.
Wow.
And that's like, I got more excited than my client. I think I was like, see, you see what I mean now. This is why I wanted you to try. Like, and they were like, okay, I'm gonna schedule that like separately because I want to know more. I want to feel it alone, not just in combo with your facial. And I'm like, let's do it.
That is gold. That is just golden. Wow. So
Yeah. It
talk
was it
is,
was it was life changing for me.
oh, I see that. Oh my goodness, you light up.
I got so excited every time I talk about this. It never
Yeah.
gets old.
Well, that was the energy I picked up from you when we were in our working group with our podcast course. I gravitated to your energy. I said, this is incredible. This woman's got a great story to tell. And lo and behold, here we are listening to it. This is amazing. So walk us through for the listeners what energy work would entail. Is it just hands-on?
Well,
What happens? What do you do?
so while I was offering my energy work sessions, which later on I would just focusing on doing energy work more than my aesthetic and massage at the spa, I was taking more clients for just energy work. And even when I was offering meditation class and yoga class, I was even in my yoga class, I would do energy work for my students, for my participant, and then they'll be like, I've never felt anything like that before. And this is I just want to give you guys a little bit of bonus because I became this energy work junkie and I just want to let everybody have a little taste of it. And that was my focus until the pandemic hit and everything has to shift to online.
Absolutely.
And then some of my clients were like, we don't want you online. I'm safe. I'm going to put masks on. Can you come to us? Can we still see you in person? Because it feels so good to be around you and to
Oh,
experience that energy work with you in person. And I'm like, no, no, no. Let's try something different. This is an opportunity for all of us to grow together. And then we all transition to the online world together, the yoga class, meditation class, and including energy work. And some of my clients would say the energy work online does not feel the same. And I had to do some study on that, get some feedback on what is the different, what is it that they think is different. So that's the end of my energy work. If it's not going to be the same, I don't want to offer it. But I didn't have problem with yoga or mindfulness or meditation. So I kept that going online and I love it. And now it's been my focus.
now you're working with corporations. Is that right?
Totally big shift from one-on-one clients to employees and organizations in the group setting, which I have done in the yoga and meditation in the past, except it was all in person mainly.
Mm-hmm.
And then when it was shifted to online, it was a different animal for me. I have to adjust to my student and my students have to adjust as well. We are used to what we used to, the in-person life versus the online life. It's been my new love and my new focus to help the employees de-stress and find balance. As a former employee, I was stressed and I didn't have the support that I needed at the time. And that's why I was on antidepressant at the time when I was actually working for someone else. Plus, having my own business in the spa and experiencing the one-on-one sessions with my clients, and everyone was talking about how stressed they are at work and they're fighting the work-life balance. And it's been challenging because back then, wellness was very small in the company, is except if you work for a big corporation like Google or Facebook, which they have done a really good example of providing wellness program for their employees. Now, the employee is going to find time to take advantage of the programs or not. That's a different story, right? And sometimes
Right.
the workload is a lot. When I hear a lot of feedback from my clients about their stress and the work-life balance, and that's why they wanted to do a spa day, and that's just not enough. Stress is a part of our everyday life, and I thought if I could just offer some form of wellness that everybody can weave into their everyday lifestyle, and not just let's take a day off of work and go to the spa, get a massage, get a facial, or go to yoga class when they have time. Let's give them some tools, give them something that is easy for them to incorporate within that second of being stressed. So that's why I wanted to do this and expand this a little bit more into the company.
Is it a program that they then can adapt for the rest of their employees, and you just give them the initial teachings and the whole philosophical explanation as to why it's so significant for employee productivity and work-life balance?
I have little steps that I offer to each company, and all programs are customized. So it depends on their preference. If they want to bring some more movement because there's not enough movements, or they have technique going on in the company, then we'll focus on that. So I would sit down with the leader and see what they are looking for, and then we'll go from there. But otherwise, the programs is actually, I would meet with the individual, depending on how big the team is. And I've been focusing on small to mid-sized companies. And if it's
Oh,
just like,
yeah.
if it's just like a medium-sized team, then we can all meet. But otherwise, I love the one-on-one connection with people. I like meeting you and getting to know you, and find out what exactly that you find that is challenging
Mm-hmm.
in this wellness journey of yours, and where are you at, and where would you like to go. And then I would take it from you, and then your coworker, I would meet with them as well, and then would take it from each individual, and then I'll try to create something that's everyone can benefit, whatever that is for the team. So yeah, so that's how we that's this is how we do it.
I love that. So it's individualized, and yet it's still something that's very adaptable and applicable across the whole team, the whole organization. It's,
Totally. So
yeah.
I mean, we can't please everybody, but at least everyone can can be on the same page, right? Once they are a team, and then we can come to an agreement of, so this is what I've been collecting the data of this particular group, and this is where everyone is at, and this is where everyone like to be. So just making sure everyone is on the same page, and then we can start from there to meet the
Uh,
goal, the ultimate goal together.
that is fantastic. How many corporations or companies, I should say, small, medium-sized companies are you working with?
Well, mainly startups companies
Nice.
that I have had experience with, because they're just starting out, they're a little bit more stressful, and they would love to expand on this. And they're a lot more open because they're smaller, so everybody get to talk to each other, right? And again, this is not for everybody. When you have your clients, you may talk to a lot of people, and not everyone will be a good match. So
Or
so I
buy
mean,
into
for
it.
everyone.
Hmm.
Exactly. We need leaders to buy into this wellness program, because if leaders are not buying in, it has a huge effect on the rest of the company. Wouldn't you agree?
Absolutely. Top down. The leader is there to mentor, but they set the example and they set the tone for the entire organization. And if they are a living, breathing proof of a practice that is going to increase the wellness of the overall company, and not just talking it, but walking the walk, then absolutely
Wow.
it's going to trickle down for the rest of the organization. And this is one of the areas that I really wanted to hone in on, because my clients are high achieving women who have been in the corporate or in the workforce for quite some time, and they don't want to have to give it up or feel like they're giving up on themselves, quitting their job. The menopausal transition, with its natural stresses that come with hormonal fluctuations, can really be daunting and raise those stress levels. And so to be able to be a high achieving woman, whether she's at the head of a corporation or her company or a business or part of a company, to be able to have those tools in place where she's not only feeling safe to practice wellness and find balance and stress management, but it's readily available wherever she goes. And what a great offering that you provide in the workspace, that not only do you work here and you're a highly valued and productive employee to the company, but our return on investment from your productivity matters. And so we're going to invest like we would invest in our machinery and our tools and our overhead. And when it breaks, we fix it. Well, I think the most important overhead in the company is your employees. So investing in them. And this is where I would really like to see, and there's a lot of move afoot to see menopausal support in the workplace. So it's safe to have those conversations, but take it one step further. It's available and encouraged to practice those or put those tools into place and practice those techniques that will help manage the transition. Because who knows where you're going to be at any given moment where you feel that anxiety attack or feel that pressure in your chest, the panic, or the hot flashes. I mean, it all happens without warning.
Yeah,
It can just happen. And I think
totally.
that what you're doing with businesses is so profound and so needed. And then to spill that over into the menopausal transition is wonderful. So if any of my listeners out there and you're a high achieving corporate CEO, leading a team of people, no matter what your industry might be, really take this to heart. This wellness matters and it should be encouraged. So do you have any great success stories to tell us about and some of the teams that you've been leading now in wellness?
Well, since your audience are mainly pre-post menopause, I want to
The
say,
whole,
right?
yeah, peri
For
to
the whole,
post.
yeah. Let me think a little bit here for a minute. Some success story that I had this one participant. She did not want to do meditation at all. She just showed up for the yoga class and she just said she loved the stretch. She said, I come to your yoga class because I love your stretching. I love that we do the stretching and I could use a lot of stretching. And of course, a couple of years later, this is just how long we have worked together, right? And I offer the class. We started out with just 2 classes a week, and then later on, it increased to 4 classes a week. And she had told me in private, she said, Fon, I have to tell you that meditation with you has been a life-changing because first, I didn't want to do it. I get so fidgety, right? She said she just can't sit still. And then the more we practice together, and she said she's just starting to learn something about herself. And then she was able to notice her feelings and sensation in her body and the thoughts that come in and the frustrations or anything negative. She said, now I don't feel like that. And I look forward to your meditation class more and more each week. when I didn't like that before. And I know I told you I didn't like your meditation, and I just want to excuse myself and leave the class before you lead us into meditation at the end of the class. She said, when I heard that from 60 something years old woman, and I'm just so happy because it's a great feedback for someone who went from avoiding it to now looking forward to do the meditation because she had experienced some positive changes in her own personal life.
And that introspective work really matters. It's just the yoga, as we well know, really starts when you get off the mat. Those asanas is just an invitation for you to slow down the mind and connect with the breath so that you can go inward. The journey can take a long time for some, or it can be like fast track, get me to India now in the camel cart. I don't care. But it is a journey. So to arrive at that point where you start to see those noticeable changes, and they can start off subtly and eventually grow, is very profound, particularly when you come from that place. I'm not going to change. This is the way I am, and this is the way I see the world, which is to our detriment. There's not more people to take that leap of faith and just try something new. But I'm hoping that the listeners will tune into you. So if they're not big on meditation, and I know a lot of listeners that will be tuning in are probably not ready to go down the journey of meditation, but they have to understand full-heartedly that there's a component of the mindset work and the meditation work, which could even be as simple as walking. It can be even as simple as pruning the garden.
Exactly.
It's like simple, just that quietness with an alone time with the breath.
It doesn't have to be a sitting cross-legged and close the eyes and put the mudra on. We've been programmed that this is meditation. Meditation can happen in so many different forms. You can be coloring, that's meditation too. Yes. You can be cooking, you can be focusing on cooking and not listening to your kids doing something in the background, maybe. As long as you're not multitasking, you're focusing on one task. This is what I would recommend. If you're someone who, like my really close friend, she said, Fon, I don't meditate, right? And I can't meditate. I don't know how to meditate. I can't sit still. I can't focus my mind. It's always wandering. And I said, listen, try this. Set a timer, just 1 minute. Because I know women use the bathroom, we take more than 1 minute, right? So set a timer for 1 minute and just focus on, you can just focus on the timer. If you have the digital clock like on the phone, you can just maybe just focus on the number changing.
Right.
Within 1 minute, that's your focus, that's your meditation. Or maybe you just close your eyes and just focus on your eyelids, or focus on your in-breath, breathing. Are you breathing short? Are you breathing deep? And is it even? Is your breath in, your breath out even? Where is your mind when you close your eye? Is your mind thinking about what am I going to do for dinner or something else? Or can you just bring the focus to scan from the top of your head slowly all the way down? Is my entire body relaxed? In psychology, they'll say bring your awareness to the room. You can set 1 minute timer and just check out the wall. What do I see that is red on this wall right now? Or what do I see that is blue, right? Or green? How many objects are green in this room? You can do all that like within 1 minute.
Beautiful. Those basic grounding exercises.
Yeah. I mean, don't overlook something so simple like this. Right. When you want to practice mindfulness. This is why menopausal women can really benefit. And I think some researchers are talking about that too. You probably heard this before. Articles on Mayo clinics can probably be a good resources to start out with if you don't know, or if you're not familiar with mindfulness and menopausal, how you can benefit when you want to treat your menopausal.
Absolutely. My yoga actually began, I was pregnant with my daughter. I looked at it again from the viewpoint of stretching, but then I used the yoga in the 6-week recovery before I went back to any high intensity sports. But through that journey with the yoga, I began to notice more about the breath. And then as I moved in to the perimenopausal years, I was so grateful. I am so grateful that I have the foundation of the yoga and the meditation. And it was all more of a journey of exploration. I like this. I want to learn more. Where is this going to take me? And in my yoga class, the yoga teachers would often refer to the chakras, the energy centers, of course, saying throat choke, barely breathing when we're in a forward fold or a pyramid pose. And you've got your chin tucked and you're trying to touch your forehead to your knee. And they would say, this is so good for your throat chakra, where your parathyroid and your thyroid is located. And then this is how my mind works. I'm starting to connect the dots. Okay, the science is that's part of the body and the endocrine system, and there's a chakra center that's associated with it. So I started pulling out books, and I found this little gem of a book, the Chakra Bible.
Chakra Bible.
Yeah, in a little bookstore in Tofino, west coast of Vancouver Island. And that was it. My journey down that route began. I just went through this book front to back. You can see all these pages are now marked off with tabs.
You've studied that book really with all the little marks.
And when I went into my yoga teacher training, it was about The Subtle Body by Cindy Dale. And this one,
Cindy Dale's work is amazing.
This one, she is queen. And that was it. Then I started to map out, because I love science in PR, public relations, science communication, taking that really complex details. But when I see the science and then I put it to the art, which would be the breath work, the yoga movement, the meditation, suddenly starts to make sense. Ayurveda principles have this history of thousands of years, why they work. We're just catching on in the Western world. So
yeah, hello.
So this is very much why meditation, or the mindfulness work, still in moving meditation, I call it, in the stress reduction, is very much part of my teachings, and why I think it's so fascinating. And as you probably well know, when it comes to the menopausal stress, and even just the stress that we see in our workplace and in our environment, and the demands that we put on, even in scrolling on our devices, there is that heightened stress. Our cortisol levels are keeping us living in that sympathetic nervous system drive, which is not healthy at all. There's no rest and recovery. We're in fight and flight mode. And so this is why it makes it very complicated for the menopausal woman, because that heightened cortisol level, when we go into an estrogen dominance, keeps us in that fight and flight mode. And that has spill-offs to the body, going back now to the biological and the scientific aspect. It spills off now into our gut microbiome and puts dis-ease, if you will, or dysfunction in the microbiome diversity. And then that is what causes further complications. And so this is when I started connecting all the dots. You can work on balancing nutrition and exercise, but if you're not balancing your stress, or even getting that sleep management under control, then you're constantly in this inequilibrium and the body's trying to find that homeostasis. Work that you're doing now, getting into the businesses and setting that example, or helping leaders set that example for their teams, is very important. But Fon, you've been holding off on us because I believe you have a book. Do you know?
Well, the book is just mainly talking about my journey of how I got started with the energy work, and talking about how my life have changed with the energy work. So if you want to know more, go check out the book, The Phoenix.
The Phoenix. And that is on your website, which we'll post in the show notes.
It is on my website. I know there's so many books out there on Amazon that's called Phoenix. So this Phoenix is about the stories of women who rise from the dark. I believe, if I remember correctly, there are maybe 20 women that co-author that book together. Okay. And we
Nice.
became best-selling book in Australia. I'm not sure how,
Congratulations.
thank you. I'm not sure how that did better than in the US. I guess our audience are mainly in Australia for some reason at that time when the book was
Okay.
launched in 2020.
Okay. I'll include the Phoenix and the links as well as your website in the show notes. And also, there's one other book that I wanted to talk about with you because one of the questions I like to ask all my guests is what is on their bookshelf these days or their bedside table? What are you reading and why?
Oh, well. This one is not probably exactly related to mindfulness or meditation practice directly, but it's personal because I'm launching a podcast very
Yeah.
soon.
Why we met?
Yes, yes. So my new project, the podcast, is going to be called One Mindful Minute, and it will be all about stories and journeys of ordinary people who are evolving in their own personal life, in their wellness journey, and how they incorporate mindfulness and meditation into their daily life. The current book that I'm on right now, it's called The Art of Acting by Stella Adler. So I listened to this book on Audible because I thought I don't want my voice or my podcast to be boring because mindfulness
Right.
and meditation topic seems to project something to some of the population that, oh, this is boring, right?
Yeah.
It's never boring to me. This is fascinating area, fascinating field to me personally, but
Yeah.
not everybody's gonna think so. So I thought maybe I'll learn a little bit of acting techniques with my voice so I can incorporate the voice acting into the podcast. It's
Make it more animated or more
I
energetic. Right.
the book didn't focus on the voice acting. It was more of the thinking,
Right.
the attitude. This is way beyond just using my voice on the podcast.
I know. I think I want to listen to the audiobook now too.
Yeah.
Spice up my show, my podcast a little bit. Menopause can be quite boring as well.
Well, it's not boring when you're actually experiencing it.
It's
You're
quite
just
another
like,
thing.
oh, this is challenging. Just like when I do
Mm-hmm.
meditation, when you do meditation or when you go to your yoga class, you really have to put in a lot of work.
Right.
If it's boring to you, that's mean you're not putting in the work.
Yeah, it's true. And I say this when I teach my classes too. Give what you've got and you get what you give. Speak about yoga. I just finished a primal flow, which is one of the modalities, one of the formats that Buddhi medicine, movement medicine offers. And we talked about the balancing the masculine and the feminine energy and why it's so important because we have both masculine and feminine. It's a balancing of those energetic fields. And I was making so many connections with the balancing of energy for going through the menopausal transition. And at the end of the 2 full days of doing yoga, you're tired. I was beat up. It's yoga. It's just yoga, but you're doing it constantly. The body is constantly moving. By the end of the day, you're just altogether done. But energetically and mentally and emotionally, you're at the top of your
I
game.
was gonna say, yeah,
Yeah.
your energy is just probably like up to the sky while your physical body can only do so much. We do recover. I don't know about you, but for me, like if I do anything at that extent with the physical body, it seems to recover quickly. The body has to keep up. When your energy is
True.
high, you build up, like you change your frequency. And then now
Yes,
it's
yes.
easier for the body to just like, let's match it. For me, that was like, oh my gosh, I become a junkie.
Yeah.
Energy junkie.
An energy junkie. What was your
Yeah.
very first format when you were introduced to yoga? Not the one at the gym, but the proper studio.
Not the one at the gym. The proper studio was vinyasa, but with heat,
Say that
with
again.
with humidifier on too.
Ooh,
Yeah, everything was just wet, the mat and my hair. But I
Well,
loved it. I left the class feeling amazing.
yeah,
Even though
everything opens
I
up.
look like a mess. I may look like a mess, came out of the class. I was supposed to go to lunch, meet my friend for lunch, but I didn't care. I was like, you know what? I felt good, and that's all
I
that
feel
matters.
good. That's
Yeah.
right. And that's exactly what we've been taught. What have we been hearing all the time is do it messy. Don't wait for it to be perfect. Just get out there and do it messy. Perfection will come. Actually, we never really reach perfection in anything we do. We just continually excel beyond what we were doing the day before, which is true for yoga and meditation. Don't beat yourself up on it.
Yes.
So anybody's listening out there, you want to try it, don't beat yourself up the first time. If you can only hold a 30-second meditative thought or position or whatever it might be, it's showing up and giving it a go, and the rest will fall into place.
Exactly. That's a beautiful conclusion. I love it, Mary. And thank you for doing the work that you do, focusing on menopausal women, because if I remember correctly, there are at least 6,000 women a day are experiencing the menopause symptoms.
And that's just the data of people who've been tracked. There's so much more out there that's not tracked. So yeah, you're right. The perimenopause period can last typically 4 to 6 years, up to 10, but a lot of women don't understand it or don't know it. So either they think they're too young or they are just not well educated.
No, it's so important
Education.
because
Yeah.
otherwise, women, when we don't know, when we're not aware of this, and we get labeled as BATCH sometimes because
Absolutely.
of what we're projecting out from the symptoms, from what we're experiencing from the menopause.
Yeah.
So thank you for doing this work and paying attention to what the women could benefit from and what women need
Oh,
to improve
well,
women's life, the moon life.
and well,
Thank
ditto,
you.
ditto, the work you're doing in the work environment and setting the message with leadership that it's wellness is number one. Take time, take the time, take the space, and a productive employee, a happy employee is a successful company. So well done to you too, Fon. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you. Thank you, Mary.
Do you need support through your menopause transition? A menopause doula can help. You can find me at mlcoaching.com. And help me help you by filling out a simple survey, which is linked in the show notes. Your input is greatly valued and will help in the design and creation of tools, courses, and other resources for my upcoming one-on-one and group coaching programs. Take the survey, it's linked in the show notes. Like, follow, share, subscribe. And if you are enjoying this podcast, I would love to hear from you. Consider leaving a review. Spreading the word will help broaden my audience reach and further impact more women as they experience a transition.